Okay, welcome to QMBT in the morning. I'm your host this week, Brendan Ferreira. I have Mike Speight here with me, Quinten Early, and Tyler Woudstra. Our first topic of the day is going to be the 11 of 12 Patriots footballs that were underinflated. Now, there's been a lot of talk about it, and the NFL has had a review of it, and they were investigating it. And Mike, what do you think about all this?
You know what? It's a tough situation because, we can't take away from the way Tom Brady's playing and the rest of the team. Out of all the teams in the NFL, Tom Brady, Julian Edelman, Rob Gronkowski, these guys have come together and they have made this team what it is. So, I think it's kind of a sham, but at the same time it is cheating. So the NFL is obviously going to take the proper precautions with this, but I don't want to say that this will take away from anything in the Super Bowl, because I do believe it still will be a good game, and I believe you have two great quarterbacks going head-to-head with Tom Brady and Russell Wilson.
Okay, well, here is just my main opinion on it. I'm a Bills fan. Unfortunately, I'm a Bills fan. I hate being a Bills fan, but I gotta live with it. I personally hate the Patriots. They're in my division. I don't like the Patriots, and just seeing that they did this, even though it's still cheating, there's no doubt about it that using an inflated ball, it is still cheating, just makes me like the Patriots a little bit more. I hope that this does go through. I hope that the Patriots do lose their draft picks, because you know what? I don't like the Patriots. I think that it's wrong what they did, and if it is true that they were using inflated balls, how many times did they use this in the regular season? How many times have they actually tried this play and gotten away with it? Why is this the first time that this has happened?
I'm just kind of curious, as to how, like we've said before, how a ref could not notice that the ball is deflated, even if it's slightly, when he's putting it down on the line there. And even then, how can it justify a 45-7 loss, just the ball alone itself?
Yeah. Okay.
All very important points and questions, and I'd like to see them answered in the next few days or weeks.
What have you got for us, Mr. Host?
Moving on, we're going to talk about DeMar DeRozan's return. Now, he's been out for a while. He was an All-Star last year, not going to be one this year. But what do you guys think? Do you think it's going to help the team make the playoffs and possibly move on to that second or third round?
Can I just say one thing before these guys start jumping off? DeMar DeRozan is not going to be an All-Star, but sure as hell Kyle Lowry will be an All-Star. So
no doubt, yeah.
No doubt about it. Yeah. Like, going into playoffs, because there's no way the Raptors are not making playoffs. There's just no way. The fact that Milwaukee is 2 spots above the Raptors, there's no reason at all why the Raptors are not going to be making playoffs.
The Raps have had some tough losses. I know the return of DeMar DeRozan, I'm not sure if he's quite at 100% yet. They're still struggling a little bit with that close win in the last game. And of course, they lost to New Orleans before, then lost to Philadelphia. But I think it's going to be an improvement. DeMar's going to get better. The team will start playing as they were early in the season.
Yeah, I think the return of DeMar DeRozan.
This is the way I look at it. Before DeRozan came back from injury, the Raptors were missing that certain something. They just didn't look as good. They're still one of the top teams in the East. But I say, as a Bulls fan, I speak for most teams in the NBA right now. Give us the All-Star break. And then let's talk about the NBA and how the teams are playing out and how players are meshing together after they have this much-needed All-Star break.
Yep.
Very good points. Next, we will be talking about the NHL All-Star Weekend in Columbus. And what do you guys think of them going back to the draft like they did in previous years?
You know what? I have never been a fan of the All-Star competition, the All-Star game.
Yep.
Sure, growing up, it was something that was cool because it was the best players that were playing in the All-Star game. The way they're doing it this year, they have a single player from each team, or they have 2 players from each team, depending on what team it is, or the Chicago Blackhawks, and you have 5 players voted in. I just think they should go back to the old best players. Doesn't matter if you have 4 players from one team, 1 player from one team, or no players from another team. Just the way they're doing it, it's kind of taking the fun out of everything. And kudos to a guy like Gregensen, who is going to be a part of this All-Star game, because I believe that it should be players like this who get the shot, because they are lower-tier players who are overshadowed by these All-Stars. But then again, it goes back to the whole All-Star thing. So what do you guys think?
In my personal opinion, I don't like the All-Star game. I really don't care for the All-Star game in all sports. I personally believe that Out of all All-Star games, the NHL probably does it the second best. You could argue that NBA does their All-Star game just a little bit better. Why I don't care about any of the All-Star breaks. Pro Bowl sucks. Let's just.
Oh, yeah.
Can we just agree that the Pro Bowl is terrible? It's useless. I don't give a crap about the Pro Bowl. But all of the All-Star breaks, everything. It's just you bring in all the great players. It's fantastic. But the great players don't play great because they don't care. It's non-competitive. There's no hitting at all. It's just like. It's fun to watch all the great players do all the cool stuff and do their fancy tricks and all that stuff. But other than that, it's not competitive hockey.
As for you guys, I'm really not a big fan of the All-Star competitions. As for the draft itself that they hold in the All-Star game,
It's entertaining.
you know, it is entertaining.
Yeah.
I mean, it kind of gives you an idea of who shouldn't be at that All-Star game. You know what I
Back
mean?
to the last year when it was Phil Kessel
Yeah.
who got picked last. That was good. That was funny.
But Phil Kessel did get a car for that. So in all honesty, I'd rather get picked
Well,
last than get
Well,
picked last.
I mean, come on, he's making like $8 million a year. I don't think he's going to appreciate really that much this $30,000 car. He probably like sold it off or something. I can imagine him wanting to drive something more.
I'm pretty sure he actually
fancy.
I'm pretty sure he donated it to someone. So
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
good. What do you got for us?
Moving on. Got a big question here for you guys. Are the Leafs finally going off that cliff? Are they finally going off that cliff to the point where they will trade their star players away
right.
and rebuild?
I want to weigh in here first. The Leafs, I think they are at the bottom of the cliff right now. Like they are the lowest that they've ever been. Only scoring 2 goals in the last 5 games. This is garbage. Like they are terrible right now.
Here's rock bottom. This is the Leafs.
They are so bad. I mean, and the thing is, I'm just kind of worried that they're going to go on some winning tear right near the end of the season again and just completely put them out of that draft lottery position. I mean, behind them, within 10 points, there's about 6 or 7 teams that separates them from the 3rd overall pick. I mean, you can't just throw away games, but this is what divides them from teams like Colorado, who have built through the draft, got Nathan McKinnon, Sidney Crosby. He's not a good example.
What you're talking about right now is tanking. You're pretty much saying that you want to see the Leafs tank.
I do.
I personally want to see them lose. I don't want to see them tank because tanking. You can't build a franchise from tanking.
But there needs to be changes made.
Edmonton, for example. How many years did they tank and how good are they now?
Yeah.
They have so much talent on Edmonton and they're trash.
But you look at the last 5 years, the core needs to be changed.
The
core has to be.
What I believe, in this day and age in the NHL, your best player can't be a one-way right winger.
Exactly.
You have to rely on a centerman. You got Ryan Getzlaf on the Anaheim Ducks, Jonathan Taves on the Blackhawks, Sidney Crosby on the Penguins. That's why the Washington Capitals will never win a Stanley Cup if Ovechkin has their best player. He's a one-dimensional, one-way guy. He's a winger. I just firmly believe that your best player can't be a winger, and if the Leafs can move Phil Kessel before the trade deadline and pick up a first-line centerman, that should be the #1 thing they should be doing. They keep firing all these guys in the head office, when really they should be focusing on the team. The problem is with the team.
Well, let's address another thing too. Dave Nonis.
For you two, if you could choose one player the Leafs trade away, who would it be?
Dion Phaneuf.
I'm split between Kessel and Phaneuf
I
right
say
now.
Kessel because I believe he's the easier one to move.
Yeah.
The only reason
He is.
Phaneuf might be hard to trade is because who the hell is going to want to pick that contract up and take a chance on a player like Phaneuf?
Exactly. And
$7 million they're paying Dion Phaneuf. The Leafs' best defender is Cody Franzen.
Yeah.
Points, pretty much everything. Cody Franzen is the Leafs' best defender. You might agree or disagree with me, but they're paying Cody Franzen $3 million. They're paying Dion Phaneuf double it, and he's not even close to how good Cody Franzen is.
But if you were to trade Phaneuf to another team, it's a possibility that he wouldn't even be on the first defensive pairing on that team, which means they don't want to pay $7 million for that defenseman. The Leafs are going to have to retain some of his salary if they deal him away.
Can I just ask something? What would you guys want in return for Dion Phaneuf? What would you want for Dion Phaneuf?
At this point, I don't even know what the return could be. His return level, I think, is down right now.
What would you give him, Brendan?
The only thing I think you could get for Dion Phaneuf right now with his contract is a lower round draft pick or possibly a player that is like a enforcer that doesn't do a whole lot for the team.
I think he may be way undervaluing his value.
What would you give Dion Phaneuf, Mike?
It's a tough one. For me, I would probably look for a player who's probably about half his salary. You got to remember, I mean, every other team in the NHL has to take on the $7 million salary cap, and there aren't a whole lot of teams in the NHL.
Unless the Leafs
space.
retain it, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's not a whole lot of teams in the NHL that have this space, and the teams that do have this space, are they going to want to take a chance on Phaneuf? I do believe that there are buyers on the market for Dion. Only time will tell, and if the Leafs can move him and Phil Kessel, go ahead. And I believe the only untouchables on the Leafs, I think, are Kadri and Morgan
Kadri.
Riley.
No, there's
keep Kadri, keep Morgan Riley.
There's
rest of the team.
There is
get rid of
one
him.
more question
Hold on,
for you.
can I just say one quick thing? There was no untouchables on the Leafs. If they were offered a
Morgan Riley
if they
is
were offered a
untouchable.
great deal for Nazem Kadri and Morgan Riley to say get a Getzlaff, are you saying you're not taking
To
that?
listen,
Anaheim,
two team guys, Komarov, Polak. Polak would be a great
One-
captain for the
one more
Leafs.
question for you guys. What is it that the Leafs need the most to make them a good playoff team consistently?
How about a new team? Can
Right
I
away.
say new team?
First line center.
First line centerman and a shutdown defenseman
Yeah.
on the first defensive pair. Phaneuf and Kessel, they've had it for many years. They've tried to take that chance.
And it's failed.
And it's failed. They just can't figure it out. They need a Jonathan Taves-esque player on their team, which in the NHL it's tough to come by now. But for them to be a successful, deep team, it needs to start with a first line centerman.
Okay.
Moving now on to the quiz. Basically, I'm going to ask these fellows a question, or a few questions, and whoever gets the most right gets to host next week.
Okay, hopefully it's me because I'm ready.
So, question number one. You can either get half a point for this or a point.
Okay.
Because there's two parts to the answer.
Okay.
Who were the two players who gave Sidney Crosby his concussion?
Oh man.
Oh. One of them? Do I get a point? If none of them get one, because I know one. Wasn't it David Steffel? Didn't David Steffel
I
give
was
one
too.
of them? He was the one that gave him during the Winter Classics.
Yes. I'll give you 1 point.
Second one was Victor Hedman.
Okay, so then both of you get half a point.
Okay.
Both of you get half.
Okay.
Number two. Where did the towel waving in playoffs start? A, Vancouver, B, Toronto, C, Washington, or D, Chicago?
I think it was.
You're saying Washington? What are you
I'm
saying?
going to go with Vancouver.
I'm going to say Toronto.
Mike is right. It's Vancouver.
Oh,
You're
man.
just because you're a dirty Vancouver fan. That you are.
Oh, we should have known that too. This guy with his Canucks hat over here.
Question three. Who lost the 1998 Super Bowl? A, Green Bay, B, Denver,
Green Bay.
C, Chicago, or D, Oakland?
Green Bay.
Tyler's right. It's Green Bay.
Oh, what
I went to your bias again. There you go.
This guy's favorite. Oh, next is going to be about the New York Knicks. I bet the next answer is New York Knicks. Okay.
Who drafted Kobe Bryant? A, Denver,
The Lakers.
B, the Lakers, C, Charlotte, or D, Washington?
Charlotte.
Is this
That's a guess.
I'm going to go with the LA Lakers.
I was going to say Lakers.
Tyler's right. Charlotte.
Oh, right.
Number two. Number two.
Okay, so let's go over. Mike has 1.5.
I've got
Quinten
one.
1.5. And Tyler has 2. So Tyler's in the lead here.
Okay.
Final question. What round was Pavel Datsyuk drafted in? A, the first round. B, the 6th round. C, the 2nd round. Or D, the 4th round?
Sixth round.
I'm going with Quinten said it first.
Oh.
But that still means Tyler wins because Quinten only has 1.5. So Tyler is hosting next week. That's it for this week of
That's it.
QMBT. We'll see you next time.
Want a piece of me? Want a piece of me, bud?